New Year's Eve, 2024. I'm in Santa Fe. It's the last day of my trip by myself. And I'm feeling like I want to get as much of my journey, of my thoughts about what everything that has happened to me on this trip, everything that I've realized out. I know I'm going to realize a lot more as time goes on, but I've had a lot of realizations. I am going to try to get them all out tonight. It's going to be a long night, I think. So here we go. I'm excited. This has been an amazing trip. It's been an amazing journey. It's been more than what I was hoping for. I wanted to see the Grand Canyon a few months ago. I made a list of the full moons and the dates, and I decided I wanted to try to do things on the full moons. And I saw December 15th, and I thought, what if I could be at the Grand Canyon on the December 15th full moon? And I decided I was going to try to do that. And I did it. Not only did I do that, but I made the decision to get a divorce and prepared the forms and served my husband with those forms before I left. I didn't use a lawyer. I filled out the forms myself with help from, like, I went to law school. Like, they have law school in St. Paul has a clinic, like a free clinic that you can go to. And I went there twice. Pretty proud of myself about that. Hopefully I don't regret that, but so far so good. This past year, I started asking for changes a little over a year ago. And the response to me asking for changes was not okay. I was blamed for asking. I was blamed for the situation. I was blamed for not asking sooner. It's all so clear to me now. I can see things. I can see the tactics now after a lot of YouTube videos. I can see what has been happening for a long, long time. That I know that I'm making the right decision. And basically every piece of communication that happens, every step of the way is just confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. So that feels good. So arriving at the Grand Canyon, I got there in the dark and there was a full moon. I went to the South Rim. I had reservations at Yavapai Lodge. I'm trying to open a beer and I don't have a can opener. So I'm using this little tool on my little Swiss Army pocket knife, which I'm surprised doesn't have a can opener. Just so you all know what's happening down here. I'm sure I'm going to get it eventually. So I drove through the South Rim. I don't know which entrance though, because it wasn't to the totally I didn't drive through that little town. I have a map. Hold on. I have a map. I can tell you. I had this printed out since probably October, just for fun. Let's see. Where are my glasses? There are my glasses. I think maybe I went in through Desert View. So that's where I got out in the dark, and I couldn't see it. I could see that maybe there was open space, and it was like foggy and cloudy, and there was a full moon, and it felt amazing that I had arrived. And then I had to drive like probably close to like 35 minutes to get to the motel where I was staying at the like close to the visitor center, like the Grand Canyon main visitor center, right near there. It was really cool. And it was hard to find my room in the dark. But then when I walked in, it was like a pet friendly room. It had a crate in there for a dog because I have my dog with me, my baby Zuzi. The full moon was right out the window, and it had cleared up by then. And it was just magical. It was just like welcome. I don't know how else to describe it. I felt peaceful. Throughout this whole trip, I'm having pangs of like guilt that I don't have my kids with me. But at the same time, like my oldest like chose not to come with me. I can bring them back. I can bring them back if they want to come. And I would love to. So the next morning, we got up and we went out and we saw it right at the main visitor center. So at all these national parks, dogs really aren't allowed on anywhere except for like the paved sidewalks. And kind of a bummer for me because I would have really liked to explore a little bit more. But that's just the rules. So next time, I'll come back and not have a dog, or I'll come back when I don't have a dog, or I'll leave my dog with friends and come when I can explore more without a furry friend. I'm glad I have my dog with me though. So just kind of walked back and forth along that rim. I mean, I could have stopped every 50 feet and just stood there for minutes and just looking. The view changes. Just the vastness. I mean, I don't know if I've ever even seen I guess up in Yellowstone, I saw what you'd describe as a canyon, but nothing like this. Just absolutely breathtaking. And it's been 2 weeks now, and almost like my mind can't really even remember what it looked like. Because it's so hard to conceive of. Almost like I want to go back and look again. It's amazing. Just absolutely amazing. It's like looking at the sky. Like, do you ever get sick of looking at the sky? I don't. That's what that was like. Probably I'm only going to have one of these beers. I'm definitely not going to be giving up on opening this one. But probably only going to be drinking this one. What I'm saying. And probably, do I have a can opener in my car? Do I go look? I know the Volkswagen buses do. Remember, the new ID buses? I want one of those. The dividers in the thingies. It has a can opener in there. Never do I wish I had an ID buzz more at this moment and than at this moment right now. Then so I could open up this Modelo because I have some chips and salsa and I have some blue corn chicken flautas that I ordered that I got takeout from this place called Tortilla Flats of all places. Our favorite restaurant in college in Oshkosh, Wisconsin was called Tortilla Flats. And what do I see last night driving down the street in Santa Fe? Is a restaurant called Tortilla Flats. So you better believe I went and got takeout from there. And I was at Target earlier. I was like, well, I need a Modelo to have with my Tortilla Flats food, whatever I get. Okay, I'm getting there. Keep it up. Pep talk. It'll get there. I bought my son a pocket knife, but I'm not going to use that. That would be rude. And I don't want to use the actual knife part. This is like the nail file. This thing is metal. For a while there, I had a bottle opener on my keychain, I feel like, but didn't ever use it. So the Grand Canyon was basically like an accomplishment. Something I've wanted to do for so long. The Grand Canyon. And I did it. I made it happen for myself. I'm really proud of myself. So that's the main thing about the Grand Canyon. Worth it. Oh my goodness. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go look in my car for a tool of some kind. I found pliers. They're what I use to take out but I think this will work. Just have to get enough of it loose on one side. Okay. Doing the work. Then, so I posted that I was in the area and a friend of mine from my waitressing came and met me. She lives in Utah now, but she drove 5 hours. She brought her dog. It was really cool. It was complicated, but it was really cool that she came and met me. We went to Sedona next, and I want to talk about the dreams that I had in Sedona. I didn't know anything about Sedona. I didn't know anything about the woo-woo vortex magical stuff about Sedona. I just had heard, I'd heard about Sedona or New Mexico and Arizona through my knitting group, and I'd heard about the beauty of it. That's why I wanted to go. So it was a surprise when I went there. And I started feeling like that. I felt it before I knew about it. Let me talk about a dream. I had a dream, a bad dream, that I would attribute to my hormones. So I have dreams where I see people die, where I actually see them dead. And I attribute that to progesterone. I had one of those dreams on my drive out. And it was my mom and dad. And I do not like those dreams, obviously. They're horrible. And that was why I didn't want to go on HRT, because I was having those dreams, only they were about my children, when my children were under 7 and 8 years old. So it was so traumatic for me. thankfully, I haven't had any of those dreams about my kids in the past few months. And I hope that I don't. That wasn't in Sedona though. So in Sedona, I had two dreams, and what I would call it a closure dream. I would call it a dream where the people that I worked with, where I sold solar panels for about a year, basically in the year 2023, I would call it a dream that would like give me closure with those people, and mostly with a really good friend of mine that we had a friend breakup that I've been struggling with. And that feels amazing. And like to get that through a dream isn't something that I was expecting or that has ever really happened to me before in my life. So it's really cool. Not something that happens to me on a regular basis or that happens to me ever. I don't I don't I don't have dreams for closure. I don't That's not me. And yet on this trip in Sedona, it is. It did, and it feels good. I I haven't been thinking about that friend ever since. It feels like it was what was supposed to happen. And in addition to like the closure of that friendship, something else happened. So I'm just going to explain the dream a little bit. So my friend was a girl who, the reason we became friends is because we worked together at a home improvement store before I went and sold solar panels. And a big part of why we became friends was because we looked alike. People would confuse us. So, like, I'd be working and a customer would be like, "You helped me last night." And I hadn't been working the night before. And we eventually figured out that it was her that helped that customer. So, after a few weeks, I was like, "Oh no, that was my coworker. She was working and we look a lot alike." So we eventually would kind of, communicate about customers because we kind of had to know what the other did because people just thought we were the same person. So we kind of had to know what each other did so that we would know what was going on. And we became really good friends. We hung out a lot. We had a lot of differences. We didn't have a lot of things in common, but we got along anyway. And we talked about how it was weird that we were such good friends, but we had a lot of fun together. And then she left and got a job at that solar panel place. And then she encouraged me to interview and get a job over there. And so I did. And it was a really fun place to work. We became almost inseparable there. They put us on a project together that kind of complicated our relationship a little bit because we were working together so closely and we would hang out so much. And that's hard, you know? So, anyway, eventually, like in the summer of 2023, things kind of all fell apart. Thing at work, the accounts got shuffled around, and one of us was going to get the account, and she found out before I did, and she was like, "I'm going to get it." it. We kind of fought over who was going to get it, and that was the summer of 2023. And so a lot of stuff was going on with me personally, with my sister. Just a lot of stuff was going on. So eventually we weren't friends anymore. And then by October 2023, I decided to take a furlough from that job completely, and I stopped working there. So not only did I lose her, but I lost that job, and I missed a lot of other people at that job. The dream that I had in Sedona was that she was having a little get together at her house, and I was helping her get ready by like going to the grocery store and like getting supplies and stuff. And I went to the grocery store with two different people, but one at a time. So I went with one of the people from that job who I would always do crossword puzzles with at the job. What in our downtime we would do crossword puzzles. And I really liked doing crossword puzzles with this one guy. He and I both had like good vocabularies, and it was really fun to do crossword puzzles with him. So I was going to the grocery store with him. And then I also went to the grocery store in my dream, this is all in my dream, with another guy from that job that was like kind of a big teddy bear to me and just really comforting, and like would just say really comforting things and kind of just seemed to like say the right thing when I would tell him that I was upset, or he could just tell that I was upset sometimes, but I would just kind of like walk in the door. And so then in my dream, at the end of the party, I was lying on the couch, like waiting for people to go because I was going to like help clean up at the end of the party. And I was in one room, and my friend was in a different room, like cleaning up and like, kind of just, the party was wrapping up. And each of those two guys kind of came and said goodbye to me. First, the first guy did, and then the second guy came, and he was like, "You didn't think I was going to leave without saying goodbye, did you?" And that was just like a really cute way for him to say goodbye. And I feel like it was like kind of closure in life for him to say that to me. And then he said that, and I thought that was so sweet of him to say. And so I called out to my friend. I was like, "Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear how sweet he was?" And I was like to my friend, I called out to her. I was like, "How come you're never so sweet to me like that?" or something like that. And she said to me, she was like, "Are you kidding? You made sure of that. You made sure that we were never sweet to each other." And I think that's just so completely true and a really good lesson. Like, I think I did kind of keep our friendship in a not sweet space. Like, I made it clear that we were like bitchy to each other, but we were like, but like that we were friends. But I like kept it so that I can't really describe it, but but that's what she said to me in my dream. And I hear what she's saying, and I am hearing that, and I'm trying to be sweeter with my friends now because I do want to be sweeter to my friends and with my friends. Like, I appreciate the bitchiness, but that's not how I want to be, like, all the time. So that's what I took away. And that's the lesson I learned from that dream. And I don't know, honestly, if that friend and I could have like been sweet with each other. I don't know. Yeah. So I also had another dream in Sedona, which I didn't even know was a dream. I actually thought happened in real life. I thought that the friend that was there with me, my waitress friend, I thought that she was on the phone with her mom and that I had like embarrassed her by like saying something in the background while she was on the phone with her mom. But I apologized to her for that. And she's like, no, that didn't happen. And so she's like, I haven't been on the phone with my mom. She's like, I don't really keep in touch with my mom like that. And so I realized that it had been a dream, which is really interesting and weird. And so I told her about it, and she also thought that was interesting and weird. And I'm not sure what to make of that. But that was the other dream that I had while I was in Sedona. I had a few other amazing coincidences happen to me in Sedona, like running into the unschoolers from France that are on this amazing journey in a Volkswagen bus. They're on Instagram under Bilu's family. And it made me think about the unschoolers that I ran into on my road trip when I was 16 that kind of planted the seed for me about unschooling. One of the first seeds. I kind of have different families that kind of taught me about unschooling before I had kids. But and then I also ran into a couple while I was hiking that the woman's name was the same as my very, very first friend. And that just made me cry. And so then I wrote my friend, that woman, my first best friend. I wrote her on Facebook and just said, I just ran into a woman with the same name as you in Sedona, and I just wanted to reach out and say thank you for being my first best friend. And I hope that she and I can meet back up because I moved away when I was 3, and we haven't seen each other since we were children. And so I'm hoping to reconnect with her. Just having experiences like that, and I'm hoping just to reconnect with people like that in my life. And so that's what Sedona did for me. That's all I can think of with Sedona, other than the crows and the ravens and wanting to go back to Sedona and have more things like that happen to me there. It's a really cool place. Definitely going back.